Yeah. For those of you that want to know what we're all about, it's like this, y'all. This is 10% luck, 20% skill, 15% concentrated power of will, 5% pleasure, 50% pain, and 100% reason to remember the name.
Hello and welcome to another edition of the Sideliners on Wire TV. Tonight we'll be discussing Super Bowl 51. We're going to get into some NFL Hall of Fame talk some midseason MVP for basketball, talk about the NCAA, and also that's about it actually. So let's get started right into the Super Bowl recap. I'm joined by John and Chris. So what do you guys think of the game?
Craziest Super Bowl I've ever seen. It's the craziest football game I've ever seen in general. It was really intense.
It was amazing. I actually expected it to be closer to a blowout, but it wasn't. It just was so close. Came down to the wire. It was insane.
I mean, the weird part about this game is it was basically two blowouts. You had
Yep.
Atlanta march out to a 28-3 lead at one point, and then New England came right back, and Atlanta didn't score the rest of the game. And you look up at the score, 34-28, overtime, first overtime game in a Super Bowl game, and it was weird. Yeah, it was almost like two blowouts to me. What do you guys think of that?
I mean, it just shows Tom Brady is probably one of the best quarterbacks out right now. I mean, even when he's out, even when you think he's going to be losing the game, he comes out of nowhere and comes right back, and it's just crazy how well he can do.
I was surprised at first to see Atlanta got a big lead, considering they have such a young team, especially on defense. They really shut down Tom Brady. I mean, Robert Alford had that pick six. I didn't expect him to throw any interceptions. And then the second half, he looked like Tom Brady again. He just turned on the Jets and just blew them out, really.
Especially in a game where the Patriots' run game was pretty lackluster for most of the game. I mean, LeGarrette Blount never got anything going against a team where Atlanta really struggled against the run all year. I feel like a lot of people said this is the game LeGarrette Blount is going to win this Super Bowl probably. He had that really key fumble, and Deion Lewis had a few good plays here and there, and then he got hurt, and then it was the James White show.
Yeah.
You haven't heard from James White since Deion Lewis came back, really, and then it's James White and Tom Brady leading them to victory. James White sets the record for most catches in a game, gets that touchdown in overtime to win it. What do you guys think of his performance?
That was absolutely insane. I mean, you never see. Usually, when you come up in a Super Bowl, it's usually the quarterback you lean on to lead you to the victory. And then you had James White with all those catches. I thought that was really insane.
Yep. All I gotta say is Bill Belichick. I mean, Bill Belichick, you never know what to expect with him. Like, you would think, like, oh, it's gonna be LeGarrette Blount show, but then boom, just like that, James White. Like, I expected that.
Yep. I mean, you had Chris Hogan match Julio Jones' stat line in the championship games against the Steelers, so you really can't be surprised that James White went off. I was a little surprised he wasn't the MVP, but I also wasn't because all the records that Tom Brady set. He had that crucial 15-yard run on fourth down, which Tom Brady, not the most mobile guy. So at some point I was like, all right, they can't let him get the first down here. Someone has to catch up to him. But a key point that you mentioned before is a lot of rookies on this Atlanta team. Keanu Neal, Deion Jones. And for most of the first half, I was all the first half, most of the game, I was really impressed. But they held their own for most of it, and then Tom Brady, you can't expect rookies to hold them down for that long. So that does it for our Super Bowl 51 recap. Great discussion as always. We're going to send it to Austin, who's going to send us over to our next segment.
Well, Nick, is Carmelo Anthony causing drama? Well, we're about to find out.
What's going on, guys? So, it's a lot of mix-up going on with the New York Knicks organization. You have Carmelo Anthony and a bunch of trade talks. You have James Dolan and a lot of conversations with Phil Jackson. So, what do you guys think? Is Carmelo Anthony the reasoning for the Knicks breakdown, or is it Phil Jackson?
I absolutely don't think it's Carmelo Anthony. I think Carmelo numerous times has stated he wants to stay in New York. He's put his position out there. The drama's all in the upper management. Phil Jackson's caused a lot of these problems. Phil Jackson needs to leave New York. He needs to either be the coach or he needs to leave because Phil Jackson is not a very good GM, just like Michael Jordan with the Charlotte Hornets. And, you know, it just doesn't work out. And Carmelo is not to blame for that, and that's going to impact their free agency market. Who's going to want to come to this team that's so unstable and has so many pieces changing? It's not Melo's fault, and plus they can't get anything really from Melo that I think equals how much Melo means to this team.
Yeah, I do think it's a mix of multiple factors. You know, you have Carmelo, constantly talking with the media, saying, with this assertion that he's going to stay, and his unwillingness to cooperate, I do think plays a small part. But it does come up back to upper management and James Dolan and Phil Jackson. Phil Jackson's unprofessionalism with leaking all this stuff to the media is unacceptable. It's causing so much confusion and destruction inside that locker room that there's a reason this team is bad when it shouldn't be. It's terrible.
Honestly, I think it's the media. This was bound to happen. The Knicks haven't had a winning season a couple seasons now, haven't made the playoffs. The media was just digging, just trying to find something in the Knicks. What's wrong? And they just found Carmelo Anthony, and then Phil Jackson's playing a huge role in it, and there's just a huge boggle going on in the Knicks organization.
And being a Knicks fan myself, it's kind of difficult to actually just take it, and taking guys bashing Carmelo Anthony and people talking up, bad about how Melo is, and but he's a great captain. He's a leader of that team. He's the face of that organization. So let's see where it goes from here. We're gonna wrap it up and go right back to Austin.
Thanks, Jiggy. Now we're gonna talk about the top teams in the Power 5 conference and surprise teams.
Thanks, Austin. So, guys, let's get right into it. Top 5 conferences, you got the ACC, Big 10, Big 12, Big East, Pac-12. What do you guys have for champions in those conferences for college basketball?
I mean, for my Big East champion, I'm definitely going to go back to Villanova. They're definitely a dominant team. I got UCLA coming out of the Pac-12. It's a big thing. Big 12, I'm going to Kansas. That they run that entire conference. Kansas definitely holds it down for them. And that's all I have for now. What about you?
I got for the ACC, I got UNC coming out of that. I think it's going to be a great game tonight with Duke. I think Oregon comes out of the Pac-12 over UCLA. And I think Maryland comes out in the Big 10. I just think they've been playing pretty well so far.
I agree with most of your guys' picks. I had UNC coming out of the ACC. I agree, huge game tonight. Also in the Pac-12, I have Oregon, another huge game between Oregon and UCLA. This could go a long way in deciding who wins this division. It's hard to go against Villanova for the Big East. They're just not. They're clearly head and shoulders above the rest.
Of course.
How can you go against Kansas too? I mean, 12 in a row if they win this year.
12 in a row.
13.
Bill Self is a problem.
And then exactly, and you got Frank Mason the third.
Yeah.
Or the second actually.
The second, yeah, great point guard.
Humongous. Oh my God. And then I have Wisconsin coming out of my Big 10. I just think the experience that they have and the talent of Nigel Hayes. It's hard to go against them. I feel like they're there every year. The one team I could see beating them, I like how you mentioned Maryland. I have Purdue as the biggest upset to them, but I'm gonna go Wisconsin in the end.
Okay.
So that leaves us with our surprise teams. I'm gonna go good and bad here. My good surprise, you got Baylor. A lot of people didn't even have them ranked coming into the year, and they were ranked number 1 just a few weeks ago. I mean, they lost to West Virginia, had their worst game against them, but it's hard to have your worst game against West Virginia. And then Duke is my bad team for a surprise. Grayson Allen, I think, took a major step back. Coach K was out for a little bit with the back surgery, and Harry Giles hasn't shown me the Harry Giles that he could have been before his injury. What do you guys think?
I definitely agree with you. My surprise team is UConn for the bad. UConn hasn't been, doing really well, and UConn is known for their point guards, going back to Kemba Walker, Shabazz Napier. We can go as far as back as Ray Allen, but right now their guard players, they lost their starting point guard, and it's just really it's a rough patch for the UConn Huskies right now. But I think they'll do really well. My good surprise team is definitely Kentucky. I'm not a Kentucky fan myself, but to see how good they've been and to see a guy like Malik Monk take over every single game. He's scored legit double figures since the season has started, and he's just continuing to grow. I see him a top 5 pick in the draft.
My bad team has to be Indiana. We constantly see Indiana in the NCAA top 25, and they're not even there as far as a team. And as a good team, I'm going to go with Syracuse. They weren't even projected to make the run they're making now, and they've won 5 games and being 2 of the top 25 teams the last 5 games. So that's my good team.
All right, awesome discussion as always, guys. I definitely agree with a lot of your points there. So that's going to do it for our surprise team and power conferences talk. We're going to send it back over to Austin.
Stay tuned. We'll be right back after these messages.
Well, Thomas, you've got prediabetes. But with more exercise and a change in diet, it can be reversed.
I've tried exercising. It just makes me hungry for bacon.
I love bacon, too. And who really likes to exercise?
Not me.
Me neither.
Nobody. So we're good?
What? Oh, you still have prediabetes. Big time.
Welcome back to Sideliners. Next up, NFL Hall of Fame. Did Terrell Owens get snubbed? Nick, it's all you.
Thanks, Austin. So NFL just announced who's going to make it to their Hall of Fame. So before we talk about did T.O. get snubbed, who made it?
All right, so we have a 7-man class this year. We have a kicker, Mort Anderson, running back Terrell Davis. We have a safety in Kenny Easley. We have Jerry Jones. We have Jason Taylor. We have LT, and we have Kurt Warner. Now, obviously you have the Terrell Owens snub, but one of the guys that stood out to me that got snubbed this year was John Lynch. When you compare the stats of John Lynch and Kenny Easley, both safeties, tackles were not a stat back when Kenny Easley was playing, so that's irrelevant to the point. John Lynch, 13 sacks and 26 interceptions. Kenny Easley had 8 sacks, 32 interceptions. John Lynch has had 4 years as a finalist, hasn't gotten in yet. Kenny Easley got in, before him. So I think John Lynch has gotten snubbed numerous times so far, and it's just a matter of time till he gets in.
He just got that GM job, so I don't think he's hurting too bad.
Yeah.
But if for my biggest snub, it has to be Terrell Owens.
Yeah.
It's the second year in a row. I mean, if you look at this guy's stats, 1,078 catches.
Mm-hmm.
That ranks 8th overall. 15,934 receiving yards, 2nd overall. 153 receiving touchdowns, 3rd overall. The guy made it to 6 Pro Bowls, 5 first-team All-Pros. Terrell Owens is a Hall of Famer. If you look at his on-the-field talent, what he was able to do, he's a Hall of Famer. I don't care about his off-the-field antics. I don't care about the sit-ups in his driveway when he was an Eagle. I don't care about him eating popcorn. I don't care about him dancing on the star when he was a 49er. The guy is a Hall of Famer. Look at the stats. Look what he was able to do. Didn't matter the defense playing him. He had the most touchdowns 3 different years. He could play with any quarterback. The guy's a Hall of Famer. I don't care what the argument is.
His on the field antics were all part of the show. He was a professional athlete that was loving what he did. He was a guy that was nearly unstoppable every time he touched the field up until his last year. On the field and off the field antics, shouldn't go into a decision whether a guy should make the Hall of Fame. It should be just statistics. And the statistics show he is an all-time great. The fact that he is not in the Hall of Fame yet is criminal. It's ridiculous. Like, no one could cover him.
I definitely agree with you, 100%. Just looking at these highlights, how can you keep him out of the Hall of Fame? You're going to put in – the guy is 2nd overall in receiving yards. I love guys like Chris Carter, Marvin Harrison, all-time greats.
Mm-hmm.
Terrell Owens, I believe, is better. The guy is unstoppable. Does he have a fiery personality? Yeah. Is that necessarily a bad thing? I want a guy with passion on my team. Sure, he could go a little overboard sometimes, but I'll take a guy with too much passion over a guy with not enough. Any day of the week. Any day of the week.
Without a doubt.
Without a doubt in my mind. He will get in soon. He should have been in already, but what are you going to do? That's a wrap on our Hall of Fame talk. I'm going to send it back over to Austin.
Thanks, guys. You hear about LeBron James and Charles Barkley? Yeah, they got beat. Matthew Miles has the floor.
Thanks, Austin. Well, Chris, Charles Barkley been taking a couple jabs at LeBron James lately, and LeBron even retaliated back. What are your thoughts on the situation?
Honestly, let's just play basketball. I don't care about the drama and the media. Charles Barkley's got your job at TNT. His job's to talk about basketball. I'm honestly disappointed at LeBron's retaliation. Yes, he does have a right to retaliate at Charles Barkley, but his job is to play basketball. Play basketball. You're great at it. You're arguably the best in the world at it. You say you need playmakers. I mean, I don't know why he's complaining. He's the best in the East. He's most likely going to the finals. He will likely meet a team like Golden State there, who he's beaten in the past. Honestly, let's just play basketball.
I think what really bothers me about LeBron James and his comments were, I think Charles Barkley's right. LeBron James is the best player in this league. And LeBron's a great, great player. I think still the best. And so, really, I don't think he should be complaining he was complaining about the payroll and all of that. The Cavs were the highest paid team last year in league history. LeBron James wanted J.R. Smith. He wanted Tristan Thompson. He wanted all these guys.
They got rid of Andrew Wiggins, the first overall pick.
The Cavs bow down to everything. LeBron James runs the Cleveland Cavaliers.
Yeah.
They don't. LeBron James runs them. He's the coach and all that. I just think Charles was right in this situation. That's all we got for this topic. Back to Austin.
We'll be right back after these messages.
If you don't fix them, sparks from dragging tow chains could cause a wildfire, and that could be scary. Smokey. Only you can prevent wildfires.
Welcome back. Now it's time to talk about college basketball. Top freshmen. Nick?
What's up, guys? A lot of good freshmen in the NCAA this year. Who's your best freshman, Jiggy?
Right now, my best freshman, I'm going straight to Brooklyn, New York. I'm going Shamari Pons from St. John's University. Averaging 17.2 points, 4 rebounds a game. Solid point guard, solid lefty. He's definitely going to be leading St. John's in the future. So, Shamari Pons is my freshman. What about you?
I got Markelle Fultz. He's averaging 23 a game, 6 rebounds, 6 assists. That's a point guard. You know, he's on Washington. He doesn't really have a lot of support. They're a 9-14 record, but I don't see him going into more years in college. I think he's going straight to the draft after this. I think he's NBA ready.
My top freshman I also believe is a one and done. I got Lonzo Ball. I mean, when you get compared to Jason Kidd, that says a lot about the kind of player you are. You got 15 points per game, almost 8 assists, close to 6 rebounds, doing it on defense, almost averaging 2 steals a game, shooting the ball nicely. His court vision is special. It helps when you have a guy like TJ Leaf where you can just throw the ball out to him and he can slam it down. But like I said, you get compared to Jason Kidd, you're doing something right.
You're doing something really good. And I mean, his brother recently scored 92 points in the game, LaMelo Ball. So
you got a nice bloodline over there.
Those Ball brothers, man, they're really something.
They're going to be killing it at UCLA for a few years.
Yeah, we're going to see UCLA in the headlines for a while.
Yep. Honorable mention for me, Josh Jackson from Kansas, small forward. Just killing it. Definitely a beast. It helps, like I said, you got Frank Mason. But
of course.
If I had to choose somebody else besides Lonzo Ball, it would either be Markelle Fultz or Josh Jackson. But that's a wrap on our NCAA top freshmen. I'm going to send it back over to Austin.
Thanks, Nick. Staying in basketball, some NBA. The mid-season MVP.
Well, Chris, we're almost a halfway mark in the NBA season. Who's your mid-season MVP?
Honestly, you could say you could say Steph Curry, you could say Russell Westbrook, you could say James Harden, but my guy, Isaiah Thomas. Now, James Harden is leading the third-seeded Rockets. Russell Westbrook's leading the 7th-seed Thunder. Isaiah Thomas is leading the 2-seed Boston Celtics. Now, you could argue the West is harder than the East, no doubt, but it still takes a lot to beat teams like Toronto, the Wizards, the Pacers, many talented teams in the East. And if you think about it, take Isaiah Thomas off the Celtics, I don't think they're a playoff team.
You know, and that's a good pick. You know, he's been leading fourth quarter scoring for all NBA players, but it's hard to, not pick Russell because nobody has averaged a triple-double since Oscar Robertson in the season. And then you got James Harden. I'm going to go with Kevin Durant, actually. Why I say Kevin Durant is, usually in the NBA you split picks and votes go to different players because you have high-caliber players on multiple teams like Westbrook and Durant last year. I don't think Curry's having as great of a season as his previous two. Durant's having his best statistical and efficient season, not when it comes to scoring, but efficiency-wise, out of all of his seasons in his career so far. And they're the number 1 seed in the whole entire NBA. They have the best record, and he's improved defensively, blocking, rebounding. So I think I got to go with Kevin Durant. But that's all we got. We're going to send it back to Austin.
Thanks, Matt. Don't touch that clicker. We'll be right back.
Every day across America, excess food is gathered by a network of good people at local food banks, giving hope to millions of children who struggle with hunger. They've earned their wings, and you can too. Together, we can solve child hunger. Support Feeding America and your local food bank at feedingamerica.org.
Golden State, Indians, and Falcons, What do they all have in common? Blown leads. Nick.
Thanks, Austin. So, you heard the man. We're talking worst blown lead. I mean, this past year for sports has been the year of the blown leads. You got Golden State blowing a 3-1 lead, the Indians blowing a 3-1 lead, and the Falcons doing the unthinkable, blowing a 25-point lead. So, Evan, I'll go to you first. Who you got?
I don't know which joke lasted longer, honestly. You have Cleveland and the Cubs, and I just think that was destiny. The Cubs were not losing that World Series no matter what. I could not see them losing that World Series. And then you have Cleveland and the Warriors, which, two somewhat pretty evenly matched teams. That was always going to go 7 games. It has to be the Falcons, has to be the worst blown lead ever. You're up 25 points with about 9 minutes remaining in the third quarter. You can't blow that lead, especially when with about 5 minutes remaining in the game, you're up 8 at the opposing team's 30-yard line. Just run the ball, kick a field goal, go up 11, win the Super Bowl. It was terrible clock management, terrible coaching, terrible defending at the end of the game. It has to be the Falcons, has to be the worst blown lead of this year.
Well, I have to go with the Falcons as well, because you take a look at the Indians, arguably one of the best starting rotations in baseball. They'll be back in the playoffs whenever. The Golden State Warriors are always going to be there in the playoffs as well. You take a look at the Falcons, though, the NFC is stacked. You have the Seahawks, you have the Packers are always going to be there, the Cowboys as well. There's just so many teams in the NFC that you never know if the team is going to make a repeat and get into the Super Bowl again. You're, like you said, 9 minutes remaining in the third quarter, you have a 25-point lead. That doesn't happen. Last time, I believe it was like a 10-point lead in the Super Bowl was the biggest lead. Now we have a 25-point lead. That's hard to come by as well, especially when you're right there. All you have to do is run the ball the last few minutes, kick a field goal, game over. And I don't know, that Falcons, it's going to be difficult to rebound from that.
What about you, Matt?
I'm going to have to go with the Falcons as well. With baseball, it's always unpredictable. I think you could have the best teams in there, and it still could go either way. With the Cavs Warriors, if you remember the Warriors, they were chasing the record for the best, most winning season in NBA history. So they really spent a lot of energy going after that after they'd been in the championship the year before. So they were tired. I think that wasn't very surprising. But the Falcons, they had a chance on a third down. Matt Ryan could have thrown the ball away, and he took the sack instead that put them outside field goal range, and then they couldn't seal the deal along with the defensive collapses, I think, was why it's one of the worst collapses in sports history.
I mean, like you guys said, you coming back from a 3-1 lead, it's definitely a tough one. I'm choosing the Warriors. They've blown that, You have 7 games, and you mean to tell me you're up 3-1, and in 7 games you cannot pull one more? I don't know. I mean, it's something fishy. I mean, you guys are right, about the whole Super Bowl thing and Atlanta blowing a 25-point lead and Matt Ryan taking the sack instead of throwing the ball away. But, I mean, we're talking about a guy who legit just literally ran through the entire season, 73 wins, MVP. I mean, why not finish off the season correctly, right? So, I mean, I feel like that's the most blown lead this entire season.
I definitely agree with a lot of the points you guys made. Just to switch it up, I'm going to go with the Indians. When you talk about the Warriors blown lead or the Falcons blown lead, look at the guys on the other team. You got LeBron James, you have Tom Brady. 2 of the best guys to ever do it in both of those sports. There's not that guy on the Cubs. You could make the argument Chris Bryant is the next up-and-coming guy. You got Kyle Schwarber Beast, Anthony Rizzo. They have a ton of talent. But the way that series was going, you could tell the moment Chapman came into that game, gassed. Nothing in the tank left. Pitched way too much in Game 6. Once Rajai Davis hit that home run, I thought the Indians got it. This game is over. This is going to be way too much to overcome. And Rajai Davis hit a home run off of Aroldis Chapman, a zinger right over the left field wall. I thought that was it. So then you get that rain delay, the best rain delay to ever happen in any sport game, and the Cubs managed to pull it off in Cleveland. I had to go with the Indians as my worst blown lead.
I think kind of playing, devil's advocate here. You have the 25-point lead that the Patriots had to overcome, which, when you have Tom Brady, you're like, okay, nothing's impossible. So if it was any other team, you'd be like, yes, that's impossible. Nothing's going to happen. But with the Patriots, they're always in the game no matter what, no matter how much time is left on the clock. And then you have these 2 different series where you just need 1 more game out of 4 to win. So, yes, they blew that, both the Indians and the Warriors, especially the Warriors who, like you said, they won 73 games in the regular season. They walked through the playoffs to the final. I mean, granted, they went 7 games against the Thunder, but like,
they had their own 3-1 comeback there.
Yeah. You just don't blow a 3-1 lead in the finals. If I'm mistaken, that was the first 3-1 lead to come back in NBA history, right? In the finals? In the finals, yeah.
In the finals, yes.
It was just the year of impossible comebacks, both in the NBA and then the NFL and then baseball. Just, it's insane.
I mean, and if you think about it, with the Super Bowl, one and done. You have one shot. You have one shot to win. In baseball and basketball, you have more than enough games to at least bring home the trophy. And it sucks for Cleveland. It sucks for the Warriors that they both had the numerous opportunities to bring it home. And for the Warriors, they didn't bring it home. And obviously for Cleveland, they didn't bring it home either.
So I feel like the next logical question here, because we're talking about some of the all-time greats, is who's better at their sport? You have Tom Brady in the NFL, LeBron James in the NBA. Jiggy, I'll start with you.
And this is tough for me to say this because I go against both, but Tom Brady, man, he's the greatest quarterback to ever live. First quarterback to reach 5 championships. Yep. I mean, he's done literally the impossible. He's done everything you can ask for out of a quarterback who's not athletic, who's not fast as a person like Cam Newton, or who doesn't have the arm of a person like Kirk Cousins or somebody like that. So, I mean, Tom Brady has literally just, he's proven everybody wrong, from Goodell to Jets fans like you and I. So he's definitely, he can, in my book, he's the greatest athlete to ever live for right now.
What about you, man?
I'm going to have to, I mean, it's a tough choice, but I'm going to have to go with Tom Brady as well, because Tom Brady sort of is a representation of the NFL. He's like the face of the NFL. I still think Michael Jordan is the face of the NBA. And there's a lot of players that still are challenging LeBron for that top spot. So I still think that Jordan's left such a mark on the NBA, and some of us aren't old enough to even have watched Jordan play, but his statistical numbers and accomplishments are far greater than LeBron's, and I gotta go with Brady.
What about you, Evan?
I go Brady for the simple fact that he has the ability to make no names become special players come playoff time, come Super Bowl time. LeBron has his role players. He has his Kyries. He has his Kevin Loves. He has these guys that he knows he can count on to carry that team over the edge to get that championship. Tom Brady has no names like Chris Hogan that he's like, yeah, I'll throw it to him in the AFC Championship. I'll throw it to whoever in the Super Bowl. Tom Brady's ability to make any player good when it matters, for me, makes him better than LeBron.
I'm going LeBron James this time. Not taking anything away from Tom Brady, but I mean, take a look at Tom Brady, and it's a lot of coaching as well. Like, you can't take anything away from Bill Belichick as well. Bill Belichick fixes that team. He always has his defense ready to play. So the Patriots are always going to be a good team. But you take LeBron out of Cleveland, you take LeBron out of Miami. I don't believe they win those championships. So you have to really work on LeBron right there with. Just in general, I mean, how many times every year he's in the finals, basically. So you just got to go with him on that one, because I really feel, Tom Brady is probably arguably one of the best quarterbacks to ever play the game. But you take him out, you still have, they still played pretty well without him when he was suspended for the first 4 games of the season. LeBron James out of Cleveland or out of Miami, I don't see them playing as well.
I mean, look at Miami this year. I wholeheartedly agree with LeBron James as better at his sport. You talk about the coach that Tom Brady has, Bill Belichick, best coach ever coached football. Sure. Talk about the coaches that LeBron James had. Eric Spoelstra, Tyronn Lue. Not to take anything away from those guys, but they're not the Phil Jacksons, the Greg Popoviches. They're not the Bill Belichick of basketball. And football is so much more of a team sport. Basketball is so individualistic. And from the moment LeBron James touched the basketball, he was the chosen one, the next guy. And he's lived up to that. Tom Brady was the 6th round draft pick. No one expected anything. So anything he does is going to impress everybody because he wasn't supposed to do it.
Yep.
So great discussion as always. Great show. We're going to send it back over to Austin to wrap it up.
Well, that's it for us. Catch us next week. Same time, same place, Sideliners.